Hello everybody, this is your boy Peyton, back with another video. This video should have been released, but here are 5 tips you need to know when soloing on guitar. Let's get into it. Alright guys, for the first tip I have to solo better on guitar is to first become a good rhythm player. Don't worry about your lead playing, it eventually comes. It's just that you need to practice being a good rhythm player. I think that being a rhythm player helps you develop unique rhythm and timing for lead playing. Because a lot of the times when people start on guitar, they're not the best at timing. They don't know how to time, quarter notes the best, eighth notes, 16th notes, so on and so forth. And just not even just playing those consistently, but just any type of rhythm in general. And I feel like that being a rhythm player, getting good at strumming, even like funk strumming and percussive muting and stuff like that, it eventually leads to good lead technique. And the other big reason why that I think being a rhythm player first and then shift to lead playing is because you learn all your triads, stuff like your C major, you learn in a bunch of different positions, like that's a few examples, and that's what the cage system is for. Like, you can dive deep into rhythm playing when it comes to different chord voicings and how to play them. It's just that I feel like, in general, you need to learn how to become a good rhythm player before you even attempt complicated or even somewhat decent lead playing. On to the next tip. Alright everybody, for the second tip, I highly suggest you to follow this one, is to know all your scale shapes. When it comes to knowing the minor pentatonic and major pentatonic, you need to know the other 4, shapes and positions and whatnot, whatever you like to call it. The other 4 positions that you can play that same scale in. For instance, I'm gonna do these examples in A minor, and I'll do one example in C major. For A minor, of course, you have this. Of course, that's your A minor. But if you want to play in a different spot, which I highly suggest you learn this spot because it's pretty easy, you can play on it starting from the A string, and this is what that will look like. And that's starting from the A string. I would just take time and learn how to play all the positions because it's very useful. And here's your examples in C major. That's, the one that everybody should know if they know major pentatonic. But here's another one. And again, it's on the A string. Here we go. So yeah, go out and learn all 5 positions of your pentatonic scales before worrying about modes, because you can get used to adding more notes to the stuff that you already do know. On to the next tip. Alright guys, this is probably the biggest tip of them all. If there's anything you should take away from this video, it should definitely be this next one, is to target chord tones. And what I mean by this is to target notes that are in the chords of what's happening under your solo. Now, this should just help with the melodic structure of your solos, and it should make it sound like you actually know what you're doing. And a lot of the time when you get stuck and thinking scale, you kind of just go up and down the scale like this. Of course, even though more of your positions and whatnot, you could potentially even get a more interesting sound. But when you're not targeting those chord tones, it kind of fizzles out, because you'll start things like, dang, I'm not that good at soloing. Well, you're probably not targeting chord tones. And one example I can give you is an A minor. Let's keep it all in the same region. You got your A minor chord. And when that A minor is happening, you can play the notes A, C, or E, or anything that branches off of an A minor. Because you'll have some people that play notes that may be in the A minor 7, even though A minor is being played. But that's getting more into theory, and let's hold off on that because this is just giving you tips instead of a lesson. So, when that A minor is happening, you have one choice, or a couple of choices, my bad, and you have the choice of A, C, or E. And this is what all of them sound like. So those sound good because they're part of the chord. And of course, you can take this to the next level. You can learn arpeggios, and as I said, you can add in more notes that are commonly associated with A minor. For example, this is a A minor arpeggio. So that's an A minor arpeggio. Of course, there's a lot more of those. I mean, you can go really deep into this, but the main goal is to target those chord tones and not forget those chord changes. Because, say, if you're playing over a chord progression, more than likely the chords are going to change, and you need to be aware of that. You also got to play with the changes. So that's these tips right here in this little section for this third tip is probably some of the biggest stuff that will help you guys in your playing and hopefully take your playing to the next level and make you think more. But on to the next tip. For this next tip, guys, it's kind of a thing that I decided to throw in here because I feel like I should talk about it. You always don't have to play fast. You can play slow. And you need to, choose how fast you play accordingly because it can really depend on what song you're soloing over. Maybe one song calls for a shred, fast, but then another song calls for more tasteful and slower playing. You just need to choose when you want to shred and when you want to do that tasteful playing at the right time. Because a lot of those shred techniques like sweep picking, extensive legato licks, all that stuff can be very exciting to play, but it may not necessarily fit over what you're trying to play. And which is the point that I'm getting to. You just gotta learn how to do both. Because there's great shredders, Yingwei, Eddie, and some of the earlier guys. You can even maybe, associate Hendrix with shredding because he was the first guy to really start, the solo rave when it comes to electric guitar and how we perceive it today. Or you can be, a slower player like David Gilmour and B.B. King. Those guys weren't known for shredding, but they're often considered some of the best lead players of all time. So I feel like you should just be able to do both, Need to be able to play fast, slow, even at a medium pace. I feel like you should just be able to do it all if you want to become a good soloer. But anyway, that's the fourth tip, and on to the last one. Alright guys, for this last tip, this is probably the biggest thing that you want to take into consideration when you're soloing. Think while you solo. I know how basic it sounds, but personally, I don't know about you guys, when I solo, sometimes I just think, well, all I gotta do is play this A minor pentatonic shape because the song's in A minor and I'm good. And sometimes I feel like people can use that pentatonic box as a trap. You get stuck in that trap and you use it as a crutch, and then that's when you start feeling less creative. I've personally been there. And can I say it's not fun? It's like, dang, how can I make my solos better? And that's when I started taking time looking at other people's playing. And the one guy that really opened my eyes to it was Marty Friedman. Because I'm like, dang, this solo is super shreddy, but it's still melodic and it's just not pentatonic based or just him just doing these certain licks over and over again. And I mean, after that, I just really took into consideration, maybe I should just learn not to get stuck in that pentatonic shape. And as of recent, I've been enjoying soloing now because I feel like I don't really get stuck in that pentatonic box. If I don't know how to play, of course I'll drift to it because that's the home base. Because I mean that's what I'm used to. But um, you know, once you get out of that pentatonic trap, soloing becomes a lot funner, in my opinion, because you'd be like, I want to see what interesting sounds I can get, you know, what emotions I can convey, or you know, or start learning modes. Like that's fun. That's what I've been doing today. I've been learning different modes, and I thought I would share that with you guys with the shred that I did in the beginning. When I tell you guys, don't get stuck in that pentatonic trap. It's really bad. The only time when I'll play straight pentatonic, well, I almost say only time, but 100% of the time, if I'm going to play straight pentatonic, it's probably going to be for the blues. But even then, you're probably still targeting chord tones, like from the tip earlier. But just the biggest tip out of all of these is don't get stuck in that pentatonic box. Oh yeah, it's nice to know the pentatonic. You know, you can go away at it like. And also, that's another thing. Don't get stuck doing certain licks. But I can argue about this time in and time out. Don't just get used to doing what you've been doing. Always find ways to challenge yourselves. Like, all right, you know, I'm gonna learn how to play chord changes, or you know, even though I'm not to play chord changes, you know, and chord tones. You know, I want to learn different arpeggios to get different sounds. Maybe I want to try this art type of arpeggio over this chord. You know, you can go deep into it. All I'm saying is don't get stuck. Just don't get stuck going up and down that minor pentatonic box. Because me personally, I know I've done it in the past, but as of recent, I really started shifting my playing away from that. So that would be the last tip for today, guys. Hopefully this video will help you guys get better at soloing, because I know I was wondering what things I would need to do and learn to get better at soloing. And hopefully these tips have helped you, because these tips have personally helped me when it comes to my playing. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Drop any video suggestions in the comments. Of course, like, subscribe, and share this video all around. That would definitely help this channel out. And yeah, guys, that's all from me. Have a good day and keep shredding.